Welcome to this video. We are going to talk about how to create a project inside Vault, including a project structure, and we're going to do this with powerJobs Client. So the problem is simple. When you start a new project in Vault, you may want to create a folder with subfolders and maybe even with some files. And the best way to do is by having a project template so that each project basically starts with the same template. Now, there's a good news because in the recent versions of Vault, Autodesk introduced a new feature called Copy Folder, which basically gives me the ability to go on a template and then with this feature, select where the template should be copied. So I can pick and choose the folder structure inside Vault. And with that, also define whether the subfolders and permission and properties should be taken over as well. We do have a slightly different approach, and I'd like to show you how this looks like. So we start by having a template structure inside Vault, and then we go to our folder and just create a new folder naturally, and we call it Project XYZ, and define the category to be a project. So just by doing so, you will notice that immediately the project has been created, including the subfolders. So the structure has been inherited. Let's do it one more time. And in this case, we're just going to create a regular folder. Category remains folder. And as we see here, in this case, there is no structure. But I also have a menu item, apply project structure, which in this case is going to, again, copy over the structure from my template directly into my new folder. I can also do one more thing. Let's go back to the original template structure and change it by adding an additional folder. And as we go back to our folder, we can reapply the structure and so apply the changes again to an existing project as well. How is this done? Well, it's actually pretty simple. There is just one script. And if we go into the script, we see that there are 2 points. The first one at the beginning is the register Vault event, which basically listens to the creation of a new folder and looks whether it's of type project or not. The second one is the adding of an additional menu item on the context of the folder with a title. In this case, it's color-coded. I will tell you more about this in a minute. And then we're going to implement the logic. This is basically just going over the project structure iteratively and then copy over. So on the documentation of powerJobs Client, you will find the Add Vault menu item, and this is where you can add a menu item, and you can also color code or format your menu item, with bold, italic. There's a bunch of stuff that you can do here to make it, show up in the user interface if you like. The other thing is the registration of the event. Vault has a long list of events, and here you can find all the available events. And in our case, we went on folder add folder. So we're basically listening when a new folder is created, and we do it on post. So when the folder has been created, then we do the magic. And the magic is using powerJobs Client commandlets such as get Vault folder to read the project structure and add an update Vault folder to then add and update the folders inside Vault. So the result is basically that we have now this template with the project structure. And in this case, we just have one, but you can even think about having multiple one. In that case, obviously, when you're going to create a new folder, then maybe you need an additional dialog or a list where you can pick from the templates you like to use. In this case, pretty simple. It's one template structure, so just apply that one. The other thing was to create even this additional menu item so that you can reapply the project structure in case you want to make changes or you want to carry over changes to an existing project. So the result is that you basically keep going very naturally. You just create the folders as you think it's appropriate, select the right category, and then the system will automatically do the rest in the background. It's intelligent enough to understand when to apply the project structure and when not. You can even think of just creating the folder structure if you want, or even adding files if it makes sense for you. So maybe there are some template files like an Excel spreadsheet, a PowerPoint, or even CAD documents that should be part from the beginning of your project. And of course, you can reapply the structure to any folder if that's your case. Again, this is just a prototype. It's an idea. It's just to show you how you can achieve things like this. There is one more interesting thing, and that's combining the client side with the job processor side. So in this case, creating the folder structure on the client makes sense because you want to start right away doing something with this project, right? But there might be even some more heavy lifting activities like creating or preparing a workspace out of Vault on a network share where stuff will be published later, or maybe notifying someone by email, maybe exporting data, reading data, importing data from somewhere else, things that, may take a little bit longer and you don't want to happen on the client side, so you don't have to wait and you can delegate to the job processor. So combining the two things is quite interesting. You can start by having immediately what you need and then queuing one or more jobs and then have powerJobs executing those jobs for you. There is one more thing, and that relates to rules and guardrails. So in our case, I have been able to create this project structure wherever I wanted. So I created under the folder test. But let's make one more change. And in this case, if we're going to try to create a folder here, again, of type project, the system will give me now an error message saying, no, wait a second. You cannot create a folder wherever you want. You're only allowed to create a project folder in the top level folder structure, such as design, or any other place you want. This is, again, just an example. So we can basically restrict the ability to create a project folder or a project either in a given location or maybe just to sell to some users. So we can add additional guardrails and rules to the system to make it more secure. Okay, so what are the benefits? Well, obviously to quickly create project with the full structure. But this basically gives me additional benefits. For instance, ensuring the consistency across users. So we know that whoever is going to create a project is going to create it in the same way. And that, of course, raises data quality and process quality overall. I can also implement business rules and guardrails, back to the example of before. Maybe not everyone is allowed to do that, or you want to restrict the ability to create this type of product in a certain area. That's good as well. And this is also increasing quality and process safety. Then, of course, you can apply automation. So as mentioned before, you can combine the client side with the job processor side and so increase further quality. Now, you may wonder, is this time saving or is it quality? Well, it's both. The thing is that time is relative, quality is not. And so by working on quality improvements and do it in the right way, automatically we increase time saving. But I think that between the two, the process safety, the data quality, having the system tied up in the right way is the masterpiece here. And yes, time saving is the additional benefit to it. So the solution is simple. With powerJobs Client and a simple script, this and more stuff can be accomplished. So powerJobs Client can do a lot for your business. And if you'd like to know more about what can be done with powerJobs Client, then stay tuned. We're going to have more videos like this. Thanks for joining us today and hope to see you soon.